So today I made a tier list with all the equipments in Animate Auto Chess. As a rule, the rankings are based on how useful these equipments are in general. For example, a personal item such as Goku's core is an S tier item when used on Goku, but it's not going to be much useful for anyone else, so it will be ranked below an S tier on this list. And as a general rule, all personal items are an S tier item whenever they're used on their respective units. In this tier list, being in the C tier means that you are better than nothing. The only reason to use any of the C tier equipments is when you have nothing else to work with. Being in the B tier means that you're a good item. You work well on most unit, but you're nothing game breaking. Being in the A tier means that you're insanely good on some builds, and you're pretty good in general. You add a lot of value to any units that have you equipped. And finally, being in the S tier means you are game breaking. These equipments can turn a decent unit into an absolute monster. While this tier list is ranking equipments based on their general usefulness, I am making another video on how to build the best equipment loadout for each equipment archetype. If you don't know what an archetype is, it's basically tank, damage dealer, glass cannon, and so on. So don't forget to subscribe and like this video so that you can see more videos like this one later on. And before we begin, any equipment that is below an epic rarity, so any equipment that is blue and below, will not be included in this video, and these equipments are automatically an F tier equipment. They are basically weaker versions of equipments that you will see on this list, so it's kind of pointless to put all of them on this list to begin with. But with that out of the way, let's begin. The equipments that are in C tier are very basic items. They give basic boosts such as flat out attack boosts, ability damage boosts, passive regen, or just HP. These are super basic and aren't that great, but they're better than nothing, which is why they're in the C tier. B tier items are stronger than C tier items, obviously. Some of them are actually very powerful. For example, the Spirit Shield, when used on a tank, can be a great help to your team in general. In this tier, I also included some of the personal equipments because they do give flat boosts, flat and basic boosts, similar to items in the C tier. However, their boosts are much stronger, so they're still going to be better than C tier items, but I'm going to place them at the bottom of B tier because compared to the items at the top of the B tier, they're not as useful in general. Before I begin to explain the A tier and the S tier, I know that I said that I was going to explain how to build on unit archetypes in my next video. However, in order to understand my explanation for these two tiers, I'm going to have to give you a little bit of a basic understanding of unit archetypes. In terms of DPS units, there are two main archetypes, and that is one that relies mainly on basic attack. So imagine units such as Saber, Kirito, and Toji. These are usually within those archetypes. The second archetype is the ability damage dealer, so ability spam. So think of units such as Ace, Riaz, or Dio. I think Dio would fit in there too. So you can think of those units. So that would be in the second archetypes. Equipments in the A tier and the S tier usually are very strong on one of the two archetypes. So that's why I have to explain it. But with that out of the way, let's get into it. Stone Mask is at the top of the A tier because it is an item that is good on both archetypes. Basically, if anyone lacks the ability to regenerate, but they do fat amount of damage, just slap Stone Mask on them because they're going to heal from the damage that they're doing. Magical Charm is the second item that's on the A tier. It is very useful on ability spammer because it increases your mana gain by twofold. Key of Babylon is extremely good on basic attack damage dealer. It adds a pre-hit effect, which is a flat out 25% damage boost. It also gives a small attack speed boost and a very good crit chance boost. The next item is the Lion's Pride, which is a very good item on, maybe put it on like one of your units if you don't know like the full build, because it gives a good buff on all of your units. It gives an attack speed buff on your units and attack or attack speed buff, I'm not sure. But overall, the Lion's Pride is a very good item. And finally, the last in the A tier is Apollo's Blade. This is a secret equipment, if you can call it that. It has a very low chance of being obtained, but overall, it is not that strong. It gives a decent or good attack speed buff and a small flat damage buff and ability damage buff. It gives you two passive abilities. The first one just boosts damage by striking down ability damage on your enemies every 15 seconds. So that would be good on ability spamming units. For example, Ace. It's also good on Kirito because Kirito can increase his ability damage as he ramps up. And the second passive is one that reduces healing whenever you attack an enemy with a basic attack. I don't think there's too much use for Apollo's Blade in this meta, or just in general. It might be useful when you're doing boss fight on like the Goku one or Toji's map, because these two do heal and the anti-heal might come in handy, but overall it's not that good. But because it does give like super good attack speed buff and very decent passive in general, it at the very least I would say deserve the bottom of A tier. I placed a total of 4 items in the S tier. Toji's Inverted Blade, Dio's Bone, the Pocket Watch, and the Phantom Dancer. Let's explain them from bottom to top. Starting with Phantom Dancer. Phantom Dancer is extremely good on basic attack damage dealer. It boosts your attack speed by up to 40%. It also boosts your damage reduction, crit rate, crit damage, and also movement speed. So overall, it gives a lot of buff and just crazy attack speed. So this item's pretty much a no-brainer whenever you're building a basic attack damage dealer. Now, next up is the Pocket Watch. The Pocket Watch is extremely broken for ability spammer. It reduces ability cooldown by 25% per Pocket Watch. On some units, if you have, I don't remember if it was Riaz or Ace, but if you have a passive that gives ability cooldown already, and you equip 2 or 3 of the Pocket Watch combined with traits such as Deity or Scholar, then you can get your cooldown to 0%. So the moment you use it, it's instantly back. And then you can use something like Magical Charm to add on to your mana gain. So you're going to be spamming out ability like crazy. So this is going to be extremely good, again, for ability damage dealer, but also for support units that rely on their ability, such as Sakura or Dio. Next up is Dio's Bone. Now that we're already talking about him, Dio's Bone give a massive ability damage boost. It also gives 40 starter mana, and it gives 10% cooldown. It also gives a passive called Fate Rewrite. Basically, whenever you're about to die, you would come back, you basically revive with 50% of your HP. That is very broken for units that are glass cannon. So if you do a lot of damage but have no way to heal, put this item on and there's a chance that you will revive whenever you're gonna die. And it also have the cooldown thing, so if you're already an ability spammer, you can easily switch out one of the pocket watch for Dio's Bone without losing too much of the cooldown reduction and gain a massive survivability boost. So that's why it's in the S tier. And the most powerful item in the game, that I believe is the most powerful item, is Toji's Inverted Spear. This spear gives a flat 35% attack speed boost, 10% vampiric, and finally, I think it was 80 basic attack damage. So, what makes it strong is it is very good on units that do basic attack damage. So units such as Toji, well, it's his item. So units such as Toji, Kirito, Saber, I think Dio can benefit from this too. So anything that lacks heal, you can put this on. It is basically the Stone Mask, but a lot better. So it's pretty simple why it's in S tier. And that's pretty much my explanation on why the things are in S tier and why the things are in A tier. If you want a deeper dive into how to actually build a equipment loadout on different archetypes, then you gotta subscribe to my channel and wait for my next video to drop. But other than that, have a wonderful day.